Good afternoon, good evening for everyone joining us from different parts of the world today. My name is Paras Fatnani. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder at Seed Global Education. We're excited to welcome you all here today. If you're thinking about studying in Canada, this is probably the session to attend. We've got 4 leading business schools from across Canada joining us today. Before we get started, we'll give a couple of minutes for folks to join in. For the ones that are here, welcome. If you can take a quick minute, and at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a chat functionality. If on that, you can just post to us, which city and country are you joining in from today? Which city and country are you joining in from? Just on the bottom of your chat, the bottom of your screen is the chat functionality. There's folks joining in from Mumbai. Lovely to see you here, Prachi. Ariba from Islamabad. Thanks for joining in. Folks from Italy, from Kolkata. Lovely to see people from around the world joining in. From Jeddah. Thank you for joining in, Abraham. As more of you join in, the idea of today's session is to talk a little bit about what it is like to apply to top Canadian business schools. We'll run through how do you build a strong application. We'll burst some myths around the whole idea of studying and living in Canada, and you'll have some time to ask some questions further as well. Folks are joining in from Lagos, from Bangalore. Thank you all for being here. From Nigeria, Nasik, in India. Lovely to see people from such diverse backgrounds, from Bangalore. Welcome, Madhusudan. Great. So there are folks from Rwanda as well. Lovely. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to ask firstly for each of the 4 schools that are here to briefly introduce themselves in a minute. We'll do a quick poll after that to understand what are the aspects that you're most interested to listen in on today. And then I'll ask them some questions that are most commonly asked by students that are thinking about studying in Canada. And following that, we'll open the floor for you to put in some questions as well. So if you have any questions that you want to ask our panelists today, at the bottom of your screen, you will see a Q&A section as well. Please feel free to keep posting your questions there. If you see a question that you want to ask that has already been asked, please upvote that question so we know more of you are interested in the same as well. So without further ado, we'll do some rounds of quick introductions. Gautam, you're first on my screen if you want to start first.
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon or evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Gautam Wasanmal. I'm the recruitment officer for the Rotman School of Management graduate programs at the University of Toronto. I'm happy to connect with you guys today and share a lot more about the Rotman School of Management's MBA as well as specialized master's program.
Wonderful. Viviani?
Hi, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon. Pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Viviani Bonfim. I'm one of the recruitment admissions managers here at the GRUT School of Business at McMaster University. We're located in Ontario, Canada. So happy to talk about MBA programs and specialized master's program. Thank you for having us here.
Wonderful. Luba?
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see so many of you from different parts of the world. My name is Luba Pan. I'm the executive director of at the Schulich School of Business. And coming from the current student background, student success and experience, something very close to my heart. So I do hope that you all find this session very, very useful for your future academic endeavors.
Wonderful. And last but no means least, Carrie?
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here. Wonderful to see so many people with an interest in studying in Canada. You've got a great lineup of schools today. I'm from the Smith School of Business at Queen's University. We're located in Kingston, Ontario. We have a host of different options, MBA and specialized and professional master's programs we'd love to talk to you about. So thanks so much for being here and looking forward to the discussion.
Wonderful. So before we get started with questions for the group, I'm going to push a quick poll out. All of you should see that on your screen in just a second. We'd love to understand which part of the application process do you find most challenging, or things that you feel you want to learn more about today as well. Is it writing the SOP or the essays? Is it around strengthening your overall profile? Does the idea of meeting admissions requirements also something that you find challenging as well? Is it preparing for the test, or is it identifying the right program fit as an aspect as well. So you should see the poll on your screen now. There's quite a few of you that have already responded. Which part of the application process do you find most challenging? Is it the letters of the statement of purpose or essays? Is it, how do you strengthen that overall profile? Is it meeting admissions requirements, preparing for tests, or identifying the right program fit? We'll give it another 15 seconds quickly for responses to come in. Which part of the application process do you find most challenging? All right, we're going to close the poll now. Great. So many of you were able to participate. The one that stands out the most is strengthening your overall profile. So we'll talk a little bit more about that today. The next one following that is around the SOPs or the essays. Great topic that we'll cover today as well, followed by testing and then identifying the right program. So thank you all for sharing your thoughts and responding to the poll. Kerry, I'll start my first question with you here. As a student who's probably just starting their journey, where should I begin my research? What is your advice on that first step to take?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Paris. I can appreciate that can be pretty daunting if you're not already inclined to a specific city, or you don't have familiarity necessarily with the schools. It can be tough to figure out which one might be the best option. So certainly there's lots of resources that can help facilitate that. Rankings certainly can be a good place to start. I wouldn't say that should entirely guide your process, because rankings, as there's many out there, they all measure different things, but certainly they can start to give you some visibility into the schools and programs that might be of interest to you. I think beyond that, though, it really is about trying to understand the type of experience you want to have, whether being part of a large cohort or a small cohort, whether you want to be in an urban city, like an urban environment for your studies, or whether you're looking for something more intimate. Those are some of the questions I think that are going to be really important as you start to narrow down the list. Because then from there, there's not a lot of variability, I guess, in the subject matter that we all deliver, but the experience and the way in which we deliver it is what defines, I think, our unique identities as business schools and programs. And so that's where your research needs to get a little bit more granular, where talking to alumni, talking to current students, engaging with people in your own network, but also leveraging the resources of the schools that you're interested in to gain access to some of that should very much be part of your research as you, again, start to define what kind of experience you're really looking for your graduate business education, and which schools and programs might align best with that.
Wonderful. Some great advice there. Rankings is a good starting point, definitely not where you want to finish. I want to take my next question and sort of, taking a thread from what Kerry's mentioned. Luba, I'll come to you here. When you're thinking about choosing the right location or country, for that matter of fact, as well, what are some of the aspects that you would recommend that a candidate should keep in mind when they're choosing the right school for them?
That's a very great question. Thank you, Paris. As a former international student myself many years ago, I do remember trying to determine which country I wanted to go. So it was quite challenging because each country, each location offers something very unique, right? So I think as one piece of advice I would give to you, those who are exploring the next educational opportunity and destination, is to look a little bit beyond in terms of what your long-term goals are, right? What is next after your school? Where do you want to work, right? What community you want to stay? And as Kerry mentioned, from there, go granular. in terms of what each country or destination may offer from your perspective, from what you need. So identifying what your specific needs are, and they may differ from those of your friends or perhaps other students that you talk to or alums. So identify your needs, identify your goals, and then determine what's next for you. Canada, as you know, is, I'm not gonna lie, when I came to Canada in January, I really did not like it. I miss my family, I miss my friends. But what made me stay here and what made my personal journey is a bit different is the community, the people. So it doesn't matter who you talk to, whether it's students, people on the street, or professors, right? Whether you go to stores or not, it's a welcoming community. So that's what made it stand out and made me choose Canada and continue my education beyond the first educational institution. So I welcome you to explore a little bit further in terms of what you want and what you need.
That's a great perspective to share from your own personal experience, Luba. Thank you for that. When it comes to location, there are several factors that influence choice. But I think a couple that were mentioned today are really important to keep in mind. What size of campus, what kind of classroom do you want to be in? Do you want to be in an urban or a rural setting? There are several factors that for each person will be different. So one term you'll hear a lot across this conversation and several others as you're going through this evaluation journey is, thinking about introspecting of your own choice. So yes, we're going to give you advice, but a lot of this is also going to depend on what your aspirations and ambitions are and how does the school or the region that you choose fits and solves that. Gautam, I'll bring my next question to you, talking about aspiration and one of the biggest motivations for folks to think about studying abroad is generally building that international career. And now, given all the economic concerns or the geopolitical challenges in the world today, can you talk to us a little bit about what does the job market today look like? What are the trends that you're seeing? And maybe if there is anyone else who wants to comment on that, we'll go to the others on that as well. But Gautam, if you want to start that off.
Yeah, for sure. Having a successful career is something that's always on the forefront of, the international students' mind as well. They want to be prepared, academically, and that translates into a good professional development opportunity as well. Of course, globally, hiring has become, a little bit more selective due to macroeconomic uncertainty. But I feel that maybe in Canada, it's not shrinking, but in a way, it might be just shifting a little bit, and certain sectors are kind of expanding more rapidly. We've observed trends in growth in data analytics, in AI, and of course, machine learning as well. But in addition to that, there's always continued strength in consulting, especially in strategy and transformational roles. And on top of that, of course, Toronto, where of course University of Toronto is located, there's always that resilience in financial services. That includes your financial technology, your investment banking, and of course, any asset management opportunities as well. In terms of kind of today's more diverse environment, we've also seen kind of a rise in sustainability and kind of more kind of, climate related finance as well. So in terms of how schools are kind of, preparing candidates is, of course, career coaches are kind of really important. So we are introducing more earlier and more structured career preparation, sometimes even before the classes begin as well. We are developing partnerships across different organizations and different industries. And of course, curriculums are being monitored to kind of, fit in the latest needs of the professional environment, such as, of course, analytics, AI, and all the other kind of strategy within the curriculum aspects as well. So I would say that in kind of, these type of environments, we also look at how candidates can really benefit from having that mentorship programs with alumni as well as current students. So I believe that, these kind of opportunities do give some sort of platform for the candidates to kind of, have a more well-rounded opportunity, and they can also position themselves where they want to be.
Really good insights. Thank you, Gautam. Any thoughts from anyone else on this before I put my next question, which is sort of connected to the same idea? Luba, if you want to go next.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Gautam is absolutely right. There is a rise in certain sectors of opportunities, right? What Schulich does as well is we put in a lot of focus on leadership development, right? With certain industries blooming and growing so rapidly, it does put a lot of leaders in a position where they're asking what's next, where should we go, what should we focus on, right? And with growth of technology, especially AI, a lot of industry will start, and that's what the experts say, and a lot of industry will start putting a lot of emphasis on the people development, right? So this human component. So at Schulich, we do put a lot of, as I mentioned, focus on the leadership development. What does it mean to be within that particular industry, whatever industry you're choosing? So I'm sure my partners here at the panel as well, as Carrie mentioned, all business schools are offering somewhat similar suite of knowledge and concepts for you to learn, right? But it's about the experience. Right. So how do you want your leadership development to be to start, develop, grow, and then how can you apply it in the real life situations? Thank you.
Great. Viviane, if you want to answer that and also add on in terms of what skills are employers, we're hearing a lot about AI, we're hearing about analytics. Are there specific skills that employers are looking for as well that sort of suit aligned with what the schools are trying to develop as well?
Yeah. So I was going to compliment, I think my colleagues did a great job covering everything. Yeah, we have some growing. So I think because we are talking to international students, people who would be here as international students, we have, I wanted to highlight that when you look at employer outcomes, at least for the group, there are no statistic difference. And that's a question that we get a lot. Is it for Canadian students, for international students? The companies, the positions they pay based on the role, that you're going to be, not because you're from here or not. So we don't see that difference. And that's a question that I get a lot. I wanted to cover that. There's growth, definitely. We're seeing the employment stats holding still, the co-op opportunities as well. So we're thankfully not seeing that impact on co-ops, internships, and the post-MBA outcomes. So that's great. We are seeing growth in technology, energy as well, healthcare. So there are growth there. Good news in that market as well. So I think, as Luba was mentioning, the leadership aspect, the people development aspect is something that employers are looking for. So when they're interviewing, they want to know who you are and how are you going to leverage AI? Because right now it's not like, are you using AI or not? Like, how are you leveraging that for the position? How you take advantage, how you're more effective and more efficient. So I think these are the skills that the students need to show and develop through their graduate studies. How can I use that? How can I be an addition to that team? How is my ability to identify problems and solve that? So the leadership components of those programs are very, very important. The networking, and we're going to talk about that later, I believe, when we're talking about the career support, we all offer. So I want to make sure students at this stage where they are exploring, you're not a number, talk to us. We all offer opportunities for you to connect one-on-one with somebody in the team, talk to alumni, talk to a current student, talk to us in the team, make sure you understand. It's a big investment of your time, and understand what the program is all about as well, what the uniquenesses are and how we can help you.
Yeah, great. Carrie?
Yeah, I would also echo everything that's been said. And I don't think it can be emphasized enough, the whole idea of competencies and skills and how that's linked to the hiring environment currently. I think candidates that can effectively articulate the skills that they're bringing to the table. And this is where our programs can really help you, because obviously there's a technical component that we're all delivering around your ability to navigate the curriculum, but it's actually about the skills development and the competency development that you get through our programs, through leadership development, through the opportunities to take leadership roles within the context of the program delivery and step into that to further enhance your profile that way. Our hiring environment, our educational environment is all being impacted, of course, by the rise in technology, AI in particular, but so is the hiring environment. We've been helping our students focus a lot on, maximizing their digital profiles to be making sure that it's aligning with the AI recruitment cycles. And, a lot of that is really being able to identify your transferable skills and, really reflect on the impact you've had historically and how then the MBA or the master's program that you're doing is enabling you to bring that together to obviously bring value to your next role. So I would say that the focus on skills-based hiring, even more so than credential-based hiring, is absolutely critical. And so really looking at your MBA and your master's to help you better understand what that skill set is, how you can differentiate based on that, how that is your competitive advantage, is ultimately going to lead to more successful outcomes.
Wonderful. So AI is not going to take our jobs, but people that know AI and are able to use that more effectively probably will stand on top of that line. There are several questions coming in from the audience as well. So I'm going to try and take some as we go along and then hold some for later on as well. So for folks that are here with us today, please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. As we go along the conversation, I'll keep picking them up. If you see a question that somebody's already asked, which is aligned with what you wanted to ask, please upvote that question rather than asking that question again as well. So Gautam, I'll bring you this question, and maybe we'll open this again to other folks as well. When we talk about jobs, the next thing that people think or worry about sometimes is visas and immigration as well. So there's a question coming from, and apologies if I pronounce your name incorrectly, Sachayan Sarkar, who says Canada has always been a preferred destination for international students, which not only offers quality education, but also immigration-friendly policies. But currently, the Canadian government is tightening the policies along with a tough job market. So what is the long-term outlook for a student who starts his or her career in 2026? What are the key things a student needs to keep in mind when they're starting that journey now?
Yeah, of course, visas and applications for study permits are always, really can be a daunting thing as well, especially if you haven't done a lot of research or if this is your first time kind of, applying for such visas as well. I would say that there is some truth in that there is some changes in terms of, the policies. There's actually a welcome change at the moment where graduate students are not being impacted by the study permit caps or the requirement of, provincial attestation letters. So it demonstrates that, the Canadian government is really valuing these international graduate students who are able to bring their, experience and as well as their skills and contribute to the community and the economy as well. So that's something that's going to be a good change and a good welcome in terms of the next steps as well. But of course, beyond that, of course, every school here, we have our international student advisors that will always be working with the candidates as well. So anytime any candidate may have any queries, any questions about their study permit application process, I'm sure every school, has their own international student advisors that will be working with them every step of the way as well. In terms of those opportunities, typically a graduate program may allow them a postgraduate work permit for up to 3 years. But of course, as we are not licensed immigration professionals, I always encourage candidates to always monitor the IRCC website for any changes so that they can also keep up to date in terms of any requirements as part of their application as well. But as I kind of mentioned before, we do welcome that change that has happened, and it's really looking like a really positive outlook for 2026 and beyond as well.
Wonderful. So if you're thinking about studying in Canada, this probably might be one of the best opportunities that's come up. There is no cap, as Gautam mentioned, there is no cap on postgraduate students and the visas that they're getting further as well. So it is a great time to apply if you're considering studying and living in Canada. Any other comments from any of my other colleagues here on this before we move forward? Luba will come to you, and then Kerry will come to you as well.
Thank you. One piece of advice, we all see the headlines in news all the time, and some of them can be a little bit misleading. So I encourage everyone and strongly recommend that if you see a headline somewhere in either the news or publications or anywhere else, do your due diligence and kind of explore and research what exactly it means, right? Even here in Canada, we do see some headlines, and the first thing to do is to panic a bit, but I definitely, in terms of the immigration and recent changes with IRCC, one thing, if you do your research, you will notice is that graduate students are really wanted and really needed in Canada. So Canada, Government of Canada is actually putting a lot of emphasis of how much the graduate students are needed on both on the master level and the PhD level. So I'm not going to go too much into details. It's all there on the government website, it's public. So if you have a couple of minutes after that to do research, I welcome you to do so.
Lovely. Carrie?
Yeah, I would echo that. And I just, I don't think it's, I think candidates should still be really efficient in their planning. One of the biggest challenges I think we see students in terms of success with visa acquisition is planning effectively. Sorry. And that includes a financial plan, making sure you're really putting a lot of effort into that. Sorry, coffee went down the wrong hole. So I just wanted to raise that, but maybe I'll pause there.
No, of course. I think as you're doing your research, you're going to come across information that will be helpful as you go through this process as well. Viviani, I'll bring you the next question. Now, we've spoken a little bit about that whole broader spectrum of work environment. We've spoken a little bit about the visa regulations as well. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the application process itself. Now, given that several candidates that are joining in today from several geographies, nearly all of them are locations where business schools get a lot of applications from. And I'm talking people that come from a certain, sort of undergraduate academic background or are working in a certain industry. Talk to us a little bit about how can somebody distinguish themselves in that application process? What are you looking for that makes them stand out?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. And we also discussed that a lot. Again, you're not a number. So as much as try to do your research, try to understand the program that you're applying for, the application process itself. Being a holistic application, you have a chance to highlight your strengths, what you've done to exactly address to any admissions committee, what you've done, what you're looking for, and how this program is the right pathway for you to get where you want to get. So take advantage of the opportunities to connecting to people, understanding the process, understanding the program, because that's going to be reflected in your application. So what's important to say is that it's just not one thing that will take you. So we're looking at everything. We're looking at your GMAT score, if you have one, your GPA in your previous academic program, your interview skills. We all have some sort of interview within the application, your resume, what you've done before, your references. So the reason why we ask for a variety of information, it's because one thing can outweigh the other. So if you come from a specific background, that doesn't mean you cannot get in. You're going to highlight something else. Or maybe you didn't do so well in an interview, but you have strong references and you did really well in other parts of the application. So understanding that the process is holistic, and it's just not something that I'm saying. When we see admissions committee making admissions decision, they really go back and forth they look at your interview, they go back to your transcript to understand how did you do in the previous program. So really take the time to go through the application. Don't focus. Some people really get stressed about GMAT or GIE and put all the efforts there, and they forget about how to present themselves in the interview, explain what their goals are, how the program is connected to that, and they're going to support that. So really go through the application. We offer information sessions specific about the application, like we call them application walkthroughs. So join those sessions, get information, and be prepared. Plan your application, review your answers, consult with peers and with staff, and you definitely can show your uniqueness there. So there's no one thing that will disqualify you. If your GPA is not the strongest, there's certainly something else in the application who can outweigh that.
Wonderful. Thank you. It is a holistic process. The one thing I will say, and maybe I can say it more easily, not being on the school side, please make sure you put the right school name. You would be appalled at how many times that's the reason your application does not get considered further. And I think that's such a basic thing that you want to keep in mind as schools know you're applying to multiple schools. You just want to take that effort to say why that school is probably right for you. Luba, I'll bring you my next question here. One of the other aspects, and I think Viviani sort of touched on that a little bit as well, is around the whole fear of academic background or their GPA or GMAT scores right now as well. Talk to us, one, how important are they as a part of that evaluation process? And let's say if someone has a low GPA score, how can they enhance their opportunity or chances when applying to grad school using the GMAT or GRE?
That's a great question. And I will not comment on my colleagues' schools as the admission requirements may differ and there might be different intricacies. But for programs at the Schulich School of Business, we do value and look at each application holistically. So as Vivian mentioned, don't focus on one thing, right? Everything matters. And yes, there might be certain points in your profile that are a little bit weaker than the others. So we want you to explain that to us and demonstrate it to us as to what contributed to perhaps a weaker performance, or maybe also what you've learned from that, right? If you look at great quotes and great speeches that successful people do, right? A lot of learning comes from failures. So we want to also learn from that. Right, as we're looking at your application holistically as well, we'll look at your GMAT, we'll look at your undergraduate GPA, we look at the jobs that you've done, right? But we also want to see how all these experiences made you who you are today and how you will contribute by being a student in one of our master's or MBA programs, right? As we always say, in graduate business school, you learn as much from each other as you learn from your professors and the community. So which is why we very value the diverse class composition, right? That's when certain profiles, we don't preference a certain profile. So a lot of people say, what if I don't have a business background? It doesn't matter. You can come from healthcare, you can come from arts, and you will have a lot to contribute, right? You bring a lot to the table. So we want to see that. And when you are looking at your profile holistically as well, we want you to practice. We want you to highlight certain points for us when we're looking at your application.
Great. No, I think those are some very valid points. Gautam, I'll come to you with this as well, and sort of taking a leap of the last question and sort of adding on to that as well. Talk to us, again, if someone has a lower GPA, what can they do? And then to add to that, Luba also touched on, let's say a lot of people don't come from business backgrounds. Is that a disadvantage in any form when they're applying to business school?
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. So, for example, if a candidate may be coming in from a lower GPA, for whatever reason, sometimes candidates are struggling due to any kind of reasons that may have impacted their kind of GPA scores. That doesn't mean that, that's an automatic decline if you're applying to an MBA or a specialized master's. There's still opportunities on how you can show the admissions committee, what type of progression you've made, how you've matured, and how you've grown since then as well. So, of course, some of the most obvious ones is, of course, having a higher than average GMAT score. That typically encourages the admissions committee to know that you are able to handle the rigors of an MBA program, for example, and you're able to kind of be a little bit of a good student, because we also want you to have a good experience within that. But at the end of the day, academics are not the most important things. We do value opportunities outside of your academic experience, such as your professional development or any kind of volunteering opportunities that you may have had. So in terms of your work, sometimes candidates do forget to highlight some of the leadership roles that they may have had. While they might not have a typical job title such as a manager or leader, that doesn't mean that you don't have some of those roles, such as, if you are managing a large scale project, if you are involved in training interns, if you're involved in managing budgets, for example. All of those things kind of highlight the type of leadership roles and the leadership potential that you have coming to the program as well. Beyond that, if you are looking to kind of, demonstrate more growth, you are sometimes able to also do some certifications as part of your professional development as well. Again, that does signal a more kind of, well-rounded application for yourself to the admissions committee as well. And just to kind of touch on your second question as well, it is, really important for a classroom to, in a way, not have a single business background, unless you're doing maybe a specialized master's program where you are required to have a certain background. But for example, if someone is considering an MBA, there's opportunities for all different types of industries, whether you're coming in as an engineer, from an IT background, science, tech, to name a few of them. It's really important for you to learn from all of these people and to grow and also share your knowledge as well, because to become a well-rounded leader, you also get an opportunity to see how business is done across different sectors, how different sectors have different challenges and our solutions are implemented differently as well. So it's really going to be really beneficial to be a part of classroom of people from all across different areas and different backgrounds, so that you can also both grow and share both personally and professionally as well.
Wonderful. Kerry, I'll bring you the next question here. When we're talking about all of this in terms of showcasing that potential, through that application process, many a times we also talk about how do you showcase that leadership potential. Talk to us, be it their background on their extracurricular or other aspects. What are some ways to, to enhance their profile, so to say, when using leadership potential to showcase in that application as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think some of what's been shared already today does speak to that, in the sense of, instances of failure or where things perhaps didn't go your way, and your ability to articulate the learning from those experiences, I think really speak highly or speak extensively to your leadership potential, because I think you want leaders who have the ability to learn from experience and be able to, impart that skill on others. People who can connect the dots of their experiences and understand how they're connected, even though they may not initially look that way, and be able to, tell the story of how you've grown over the experiences that you've had. That's also, I think, a really great signal. And if I have a candidate interview who is a great storyteller, they are by far some of the most memorable. And that really speaks well to your ability to stand out in a crowded application pool. So I think taking time to think through the experiences, and again, they may not have been in your mind kind of the things that come to mind very quickly when you think of leadership, but certainly looking for the way in which you demonstrated your leadership skills and being able to identify how that led to the next opportunity or opened up a door to a new conversation or a new experience. That to me is makes for a really compelling applicant. So, there's all kinds of other markers. Of course, we're looking for academic competencies. We're looking for, people who can reinforce the things that you say are special and unique to your skill set. So references play a role in that as well, in terms of affirming the things that you've identified are key aspects of your profile. But really taking the time to understand how all of those pieces fit together, and making sure that you're using the application tools and pieces to create a cohesive story. Storytelling is compelling in any situation, and that's absolutely true of your application for business school as well.
Wonderful. All right. We're going to do a quick rapid fire to all four of you. We're going to talk a little bit about different aspects of that application pack that someone is submitting. Lou, I'll come to you first, and then we'll go across to everybody else as well. Quick answers, snippets that you think are most valuable to candidates on this part. So, Luba, for you, what are the most common mistakes in the statement of purpose or the essay that you've seen or you would like candidates to avoid?
Great question. And I would say using AI, we all talked about leveraging AI. We see very templated responses. And this is number one thing that will give away in your application. We want authenticity, right? We don't need a perfectly written novel from you. No, we want to know who you are. Who you are as a person, who you will be as a student, and what your leadership profile is and what your leadership potential is. So please do be very careful how you leveraging and using AI tools in your application. So this is one of the things. And then the second one, most common, I would say, is when students are jumping from one topic to another and failing to connect those two together. So they talk about their experience, they talk about their education and so on and so forth, but they fail to connect it all together. As you write, I would say draft this quickly and then step back a little bit and look at the whole picture and see if this actually portrays of who you are.
Great. Just a quick follow-up on that, Luba, for you here again. How should you use AI in the application, especially the statement of purpose?
Great question.
People are going to use it, right? So we probably now have to change our way of how we recommend people to use it.
That's exactly it. So AI is it's beautiful tools, right? Don't get me wrong. This is amazing, right? It does suggest you some structure, may recommend you a structure of your say, may recommend you to kind of keep your thoughts together, maybe certain vocabulary as well, right? But don't do the blind copy and paste. So when you're choosing the vocabulary and the words that you need to use, right? Choose the ones, don't choose everything that AI is recommending. Choose the ones that beautifully describing you, right? There are lots of synonyms of the same words. So choose that and use AI to guide you and not to write for you.
Perfect. All right. So that was around the statement of purpose. Viviani, I'll bring you the next question. Letters of recommendation. Who should write them? How many do schools need on average?
Great question. And I was going to touch on that. So in our case, I can speak for my colleagues, we don't require letters. Candidates will put their two references in the application. They're going to put their contacts. We're going to contact them, going to send the referees a link, and they're going to complete a reference form. So that's how we do. So first mistake is you ask for a letter. They're going to have to do double work because they're going to have to write a letter and then complete that form. We ask for any combination between academic and professional. So for those who have less work experience, maybe more fresh from undergrad, they can choose one academic and then one professional. Professionals for us here at the group has to be like a supervisor or manager, somebody who supervised them. A mistake I would say is like you're really focused about the title and you get the reference from the CEO, but the CEO is somebody who doesn't have a lot of time. They didn't work with you directly and will not really add value to that reference. So you know best who will give you a good reference, who will be able to mention specific examples about working with you, things that you've done, accomplishments, and talk about you as a professional. So don't make the mistake of being really focused on somebody's title to be your reference, but rather like of the type of reference they will be able to provide, how personal they'll be able to be when talking about you. So that would be my thing about reference. Pick the right people, talk to them. Of course, don't surprise them. Let them know, give them a heads up. This is the program I'm applying for. You're going to get an email from them. And so you're able to follow up.
Wonderful. And a quick follow-up for you there, Vivian. If someone who's working in a family business, who is the right recommender for them?
Yeah, it happens. So we talk about clients or somebody who was able to work with them and can demonstrate that work relationship that is not like a parent or uncle. So yeah, that happens, and we will guide candidates if that's the case.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Right, got the next part of the puzzle for you. And when it comes to the interviews itself. So what qualities do you assess in an interview, and what are, again, some of the most common pitfalls that you've noticed or observed that you would provide guidance to candidates on?
Yeah, absolutely. Interviews kind of provide an opportunity for us to learn a little bit more about you, to know who you are, and of course, how you can contribute to the community, both as and as an academic and also as a person as well. So it's really this is going to be highlighted every time, but it's really just important to be your authentic self. Again, we're just looking to learn a little bit more about you, your motivations, and your goals, and how you're going to use your specific program to get to where you want to be in terms of planning for your next steps as well. So in terms of interviews, typically committees really are looking to assess your communication and your clarity, and of course your professional maturity as well. So it's also really important to demonstrate, that you've done your research and you understand how, how you can use the program, especially again, just to, make yourself that well-rounded person and position yourself where you want to be as well. It's not looking to trap you or anything like that. I would kind of, maybe to put it in a nutshell, it's like a typical job interview, but in a more kind of, academic setting, where you get an opportunity also to even ask some questions to the, person who's interviewing as well. That shows that you are really interested and you're really keen as well. And a quick tip is that if you are, asking questions, it's really important to ask questions maybe that are not readily available on the website, or that's really accessible as well. That shows again that you've put in a lot of effort to do some of this research and to show that you're really interested in learning more about how the program can be a good fit for you as well. So yeah, it's really important, like I said, just to have that professional maturity, that emotional intelligence, and how you can kind of really bring your kind of communication and how you can really interpret your thinking really clearly as well.
Okay. One quick follow-on for you there, Gautam. Let's say a lot of schools currently are using recorded videos as well. In those cases, is there something to avoid or be careful of as you're doing that?
Yeah, recorded questions can sometimes, depending on the candidate, can be less anxious, or if you're a little bit nervous about talking to someone. But also recorded interviews do maybe give you an opportunity to, have that sort of opportunity to still present yourself in a more natural setting as well. So some of the things that maybe you should avoid is, don't stutter. Even if you feel that you may have said something incorrectly, just try to be natural and try to still emphasize your ideas and your thoughts really clearly as well. It's really important to also look at the question. You have an opportunity to review the question before you record your response as well. So sometimes students may misinterpret the questions or may not read them properly as well. So make sure you take the time to really understand what the question is asking you, and then you're able to kind of prepare your answers as well. But it would be kind of the same, opportunity for everyone. Just be your authentic self, and just let your ideas shine through. We are really, again, just interested in learning about who you are, and that's really important as well.
Wonderful. All right. Last part of the puzzle, Kerry, over to you on funding. What are ways in which someone should plan their funding when deciding to go to grad school?
Yeah, I think certainly the biggest thing is understanding that your funding package is likely to be made up of multiple different sources. And so thinking through what that could look like for you personally, maybe it's a portion of it is savings. Maybe there's some support from family. Maybe there's obviously you're vying for, I anticipate most people will be vying for some form of scholarship. And so understanding, again, the schools and programs you're interested in, what does that look like? What is the scholarship offering? Is it merit-based? Is it needs-based? To what extent do you need to demonstrate either of those characteristics in order to be considered? How much do your things like GMAT and prior academic performance weigh? So asking those types of questions as you're preparing your application is also highly very important. And then realizing that, again, you may have to, maybe there's some loan options. Many of us have relationships with international lenders to help ease the burden for our international students in particular who may struggle to access funding here in Canada, but we have some, great partnerships with organizations that specifically do that. And realizing that puzzle is going to come in a few different pieces, and that's okay. But really thinking that through, and again, back to the visa component, that is an area that I think Canada has really tightened up on, is making sure that they're doing a check with regard to students' abilities and plans to support themselves while they're here in Canada. I think the last thing we want to see is students that can't sustain themselves while they're in the program. There's going to be enough stress associated with moving through an MBA or a master's program because it's an investment in the next phase of your professional life and personal life to some extent. So making sure that you're paying proper time to mapping out your financial plan, looking at the resources you have access to, understanding how you get access to things like scholarships and bursaries, etc., should definitely be part of the planning process for business school.
Wonderful. And one follow-up quick one for you there. It is a question that's in the chat, in the Q&A as well. What are ways in which one can stand out when applying for scholarships as well?
Mm-hmm. So, many of us have scholarships that are highlighted on our website. Some of them are endowed and have specific requirements. Some of them are more general and, again, are looking at specific pieces of your background, whether it's your previous academic performance, test score performance. We have specific scholarships for women, for members of equity seeking groups. So there's lots of things that you can do to factor in on the research piece and make sure that then you're being bold, I guess, in asking for that and identifying how you think you align with that. Because, we have scholarships. Many of us have, generous scholarship pools that we're looking to utilize to bring in the best talent. But we need to know that we need to know a little something about you and how your profile aligns with some of those. So, you know, there's things that you have control of and there's things that you don't. Your prior academic performance, you really can do very little about at this point. So it's not really a good use of your time to focus too much on trying to, you know, I've had candidates say, well, should I take another course or should I add another, you know, redo a stats course or something? That's not, to me, the best use of your time. Focusing on things like GMAT or GRE, CFA, other things that are going to help depending on your ultimate plans post MBA. You know, if you're looking at top tier consulting or finance, things like the CFA or a really strong GMAT can also help on the job acquisition front. So that would be where I would allocate my time. And ultimately, they can be great markers for scholarship consideration as well. So, you know, again, it's one of those additional elements of really putting in the time ahead of time to make sure that you're positioning yourself really well, not only for admission to a top school, but also for financial support.
Wonderful. So 2 quick tips from my side on the same spectrum. Seed currently offers scholarships over $6 million. Several of the schools that are here are part of the program as well. So please look out on our website if you are interested to apply for those scholarships. We also have a tool on edumateglobal.com. If you're looking at loans and finances, that's an opportunity where you can get resources for free as well. Now, there's a lot of questions in the chat, in the Q&A section. I'm going to try and cover as many as I can. But one question for all of you in one quick line: what is that one myth that you would want candidates to be careful of as they go through this process or think about studying in Canada? So one myth that you would like to clarify as students that are thinking about studying in Canada. Viviane, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. So I think I would go back to the business background. A lot of students see that they in a position of disadvantage if they don't come with a business background. The program will address that. So don't spend too much time on trying to explain why you don't have a business background. It's not a requirement. If it's not a requirement, don't worry about that. And then highlight everything else that you're bringing.
Fantastic. All right, Gautam.
Yeah, one myth probably is that I think sometimes candidates feel that you must have the perfect profile or perfect in everything to be accepted into the program. Again, we do appreciate and we do look at applications from a holistic perspective. So wherever possible, just highlight your strengths and how you can, again, contribute again to the community. So that's kind of one of the myths that I would say, that you don't have to have a perfect profile.
Okay, wonderful. Carrie?
I'm not sure if this is a myth, but maybe it's something that candidates might underestimate, and that's the role that networking can play in not only helping you prepare for business school, but for life beyond as well. It's absolutely core to the hiring environment here in Canada. So definitely something you want to make sure you are paying attention to. And if it's not an area of comfort, that you're really utilizing the tools and the resources at the schools you're going to be going to become an expert networker.
Okay, lovely. Luba?
One common thing that applicants asking is whether Canadian experience for application purposes is more important than the foreign work experience. As you are all not coming from Canada, but from other regions of the world, we don't expect you to have Canadian experience. So this is not absolutely true. We're not seeking for a particular experience. What we're looking at all business schools is what that particular work experience taught you, how it developed you, right? And how it positioned you to be taken on the next academic journey somewhere outside of your own region. So this is what I would say.
Wonderful. Thank you, Luba. All right. Now I'm going to move straight into the candidate questions. We're going to try and answer as many as we can. So my request to the schools is where we don't need to have every question passed around to everyone, but if you do feel there's a need to add something, identify, but I'll try and cover as many as we can. Actually, Luba, I'll bring you the first question, given that you were an international student yourself in this spectrum. This question comes from Sugandh Mehta. The question is, are there any cultural differences that international students would only see after getting there? And could you share, especially given your experience, not just as an international student, but also being at Schulich for so long, could you share a few for students specifically coming from India?
Very good question. So I think one of the beautiful things as an international student when you come to Canada is that we don't really know as institution or people who live in Canada who's international student and who's not. Really, unless you tell us I am an international student. So my biggest fear was I will arrive to Canada and then people will know that I'm an international student. Perhaps it will contribute to my networking abilities and so on and so forth. But the reality is nobody knows that you're international students because you blend in very, very easily. Everyone in Canada speaks with accent, with some sort of accent, including me, right? Everyone in Canada looks very diverse, including all of us. So it's a very great, it's easy to integrate with Canadian community. And I think that's the beauty of it. So, right, one of the things that you need to, one less thing to worry about, I would say. So I mentioned the community before, but I think a lot of people underestimate how much it means when you try to move to another country, even for a short period of time.
Great, great. I think that covers the idea quite well. You know, every destination that you're going to look at is going to be welcoming. It's more about how you put yourself out there many a times and how proactively do you want to feel a part of the ecosystem that you're joining as well. Kerry, I'll bring you the next question here. This is from Yamna Ismail, who says, can you describe what you'd like to see in an SOP in one line? I'm a student struggling to come up with a solid essay and would love to hear your thoughts.
I think candidates that have a really good sense of why they want to do this. It sounds simple, but candidates, I think Luba maybe mentioned like the disconnection between the various components sends a signal that you're not entirely sure why you're doing this. Whereas I think candidates that can be really clear about the role that they want this experience to play in their next step stand out head and shoulders above those who just spew a bunch of data and leverage that document, that really strategic document in the application process effectively versus those that don't.
Okay, very well. Gautam, I'll bring you the next question. And this is slightly specific, so we'll try and generalize what we can from this perspective as well. This comes from Gideon, who's saying, what do I need to do differently if I'm reapplying for an MBA program? I'm only reapplying because I was denied a student study permit for this year. I'm strengthening my profile by taking the GRE exam. Apart from using the test scores in the application, what does it tell potential employers, specifically if you had plans of pursuing a career in finance or tech, etc.? So two parts of the question, maybe let me re-clarify that. First, if I'm reapplying to business school only because I was denied the study permit, what can I do to improve my chances? And then does this gap become a disadvantage when employers are looking at it from the other perspective as well?
Yeah, it's also really important to identify also in terms of why perhaps the study permit was declined. It might not be based on your academic background. So it's really important that you take some time to maybe look at your study permit decision and work towards with the international student advisor of that particular school on how you can strengthen your application for the next study permit application. In terms of if you were a candidate who might be denied for a program and you're looking to reapply again next year, of course, beyond any GMAT or GRE scores, any sort of professional development that you've done as part of your career is something that's going to be really important to continue and to highlight that within your application as well. Beyond your professional development, if you've done any volunteering or any community work where you've had an opportunity to take on perhaps any leadership roles or responsibilities, that can be really good thing to include in your application as well. But again, just to highlight, if perhaps your study permit was declined, it might not be based on your academic situation. So it's really important to also make sure that you have those conversations with the school and with your international student advisors as well.
Great. Thanks for that advice, Gautam. All right, Viviani, I'll bring you the next question. This comes from Namra Muhammad Hussain, who says, I have a BSc in textile designing, but I want to pursue a business program for my master's. However, there are specific curricular requirements for specific subjects like economics or statistics. How can I cater to this gap to get admitted to a business program? Please advise.
Yeah, so great question. Again, for the MBA programs here, we don't require you to have a business background. We will look at all the courses that you've taken before, and we look at your overall performance, meaning your average GPA, and we specifically look at the last 2 years. So I think for the application itself, for standing out, is really connecting. Like you have still a quantitative background. How are you going to leverage that in a MBA program, in a business program? There's always, I think Carrie mentioned that before, the transferable skills, what you've done and how it's connected to the program. And I think for us, you were mentioning the word potential before. There are many times in the application where all we're looking for is potential. For example, we have an MBA with co-op that doesn't require work experience. So we're looking for potential, what you've done during undergrad, your involvement, your volunteering, your extracurriculars. And the same thing for if you don't have a business background in undergrad, that potential, like how you're going to develop that, what you're looking for, and how to connect what you've done with what your goals are and how this program will equip you to be successful.
Yeah, and if there are any academic requirements that the school has, you can always take those additional courses as certificates to also show that as a part of your profile as you're going forward as well.
Exactly.
Great. Carrie, I'll bring you the next question. This comes from Stefan. He says, I'm from Nigeria, first-class business graduate in business administration, and I have over 7 years of extensive work experience in business analytics, project management, and strategic business consulting. Is the GMAT or GRE mandatory for admission, or what role will it play in my admission or admission or scholarship as an international student?
Yeah, I think that's a very fair question and one that we see increasingly, I would say in a post-COVID world, where I think there's a lot more opportunity for consideration around the GMAT or the GRE. I would say, and I can't, this will be very unique to the schools and programs that you're applying to. So it's a great question to ask, but you may need to ask it of every school that you're considering. I would say for us at Queen's, GMAT and GRE are still very highly valued and certainly very closely linked to scholarship considerations. So absolutely something to be mindful of if that is some consideration. Typically GMAT waivers would be considered for candidates who had either an advanced degree in a quantitative area, had some additional certification like a CFA or CPA or something. And ultimately is about the previous academic performance. So it's difficult to give a blanket response to that. I do think it's a valid question. So I would definitely keep that in your toolkit as you're engaging with schools. But also be mindful of what something like a standardized test in this context signals about your readiness for business school. There is definitely a sense of if a candidate is willing to put the work in to do the GMAT, to do the GRE, it does signal to the admissions committee that this is something that you're committed to and that you understand the rigor and the additional work that's going to be placed on you, particularly if you've been out of the academic world for a while, like you said, 7 years of professional experience. Going back into the classroom full time is going to be an adjustment for you. So taking the time to engage in a standardized test as you prepare for this also says that, this is something that you're committed to really adjusting to and that you acknowledge that this is going to be a transitionary experience. So I really want to highlight that it's not just about a score, that there's lots of things that actually go into our evaluation of your application when you are presenting with or without a GMAT or a GRE.
Wonderful. Great. And like I mentioned, there are schools that offer waivers in specific scenarios, but it is always recommended to take the test because it also gives you better chances to pursue your funding opportunities through scholarships as well. All right, Luba, I'll bring you the next question here. It can be specific to the person, but let's see if we can give them some direction at least. Kiran's asking, which specific specialization is more in demand today? Is it around supply chain management or finance?
That's a tricky question. I wouldn't highlight any specialization as more in demand or more popular. It really depends on where you're planning on taking your career. next, right? There are some specializations that Schulich is offering that are very low demand, but they're very niche, very unique, right? There's not too much quantity of students per se, but they offer a very, very niche and unique knowledge and skills in that particular industry, right? So are you planning on going, so again, back to what your needs and goals are. Are you planning to go into just more demanding and more popular specialization, or you're trying to earn and gain the skills and knowledge in something very specific that you're passionate about? So I would recommend looking at any specializations and when you're choosing your programs from that perspective.
Yeah, that's really well put. A lot depends here on what your career aspiration is. And I think when it comes to demand from an industry perspective, both will have a area across multiple industries. So industries that are in high in demand but require someone who's a finance professional or someone who's a supply chain professional, both may have equal interest or opportunity from that perspective. Gautam, I'll bring you.
Sorry, if I can quickly add as an example, because I know these answers might seem a little bit vague and like, what exactly does it mean? What is she talking about? But just a quick example, when people talk about, let's say, entertainment management, right? One may perceive that it is less popular as finance or maybe the traditional business functional specializations, right? But keep in mind that in this entertainment industry needs to be managed too, and they require leaders as well. Someone who can lead them with a strategic view, with the suite of competencies, right? And that's what business schools teach you.
Very well put. Thank you, Luba, for that. Gautam, I'll bring you my next question here, which comes from Tia. The question is, what kind of career support or placement services are available to international students after graduation?
In terms of the career support, of course, I can speak about Rodman specifically. We do have a dedicated career coach who's going to be working with you on a one-to-one basis always. So this is someone who knows who you are, your background, and where you're going to be, and making sure you're having the right conversations with the right people and getting you connected to the right, employers or sectors that you're really interested in working with as well. In terms of your kind of opportunities beyond graduation, you're always welcome to access these career support and these career coaches as well. So it's a lifelong opportunity for you to be a part of the community. We've seen a lot of candidates who after graduation also come back and, recruit Rodman students as well. So your involvement and your kind of support always stays with you well beyond your graduation. And I'm sure my colleagues at the different schools here also have some sort of their own unique strengths when it comes to career placement and supports as well. But in a nutshell, you have that opportunity to work with someone on a dedicated basis, and this always starts even before your program starts, in fact. So you already get introduced to them before you arrive to the campus, and they have some sort of idea about where you're going to be, and making sure they develop that relationship in terms of making sure you get the right support and job opportunities as well.
Wonderful. And each school will have a dedicated career services department. So it is also up to you. Again, we spoke about being proactive at different stages of the conversation. Once you arrive there, the school is definitely there to help you, be it an interview prep, be it job search, or even the CV. But you have to take that effort to engage with the career services team as well, alongside the career coaches that Gautam referred to as well. Viviani, I'll bring you the next question here. The question is it possible to apply to multiple programs, 2 or possibly 3 at times in the same cycle at the same business school, if you're unsure of where you're at?
So I will start with, hopefully, you will have clarity and choose one program to apply for. So again, leveraging the resources that universities provide, having the conversations, really understanding your top program. For example, for the MBAs, we have different MBAs. We only recommend you to apply for your top choice, and we can have a discussion later on. But if you're applying for specialized master's MBA, yes, you can apply for more than one if you're not 100% sure. Just make sure your application is unique and targeted to that specific program, because they may have different requirements and different aspects that you want to highlight for each one of the application. My take would be, if you're just applying for multiple because you're unsure, talk to us, try to understand which one you really want to apply, which one will help you reach your goals.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that, Vivian. I have time for just last two questions. I know we've gone over, and I appreciate my panelists staying on for a bit longer as well. We're trying to cover as many questions as we can. So if we do miss your question, please feel free to write to the schools. If I can request all the schools to put their email addresses where they would be open to receiving some questions as well, just in the chat functionality. That would be helpful. But in the meantime, Kerry, I'll bring you the question. There's a question from Praise who says, for the letter of recommendation, can someone who has worked with a volunteer at an NGO with you write that for you?
Absolutely. I think we've heard some great comments on the authenticity of the reference and their ability to actually speak to your skills and performance, because ultimately the best indicator of future performance is past performance. And that's really the role that the references play, is validating some of those key accomplishments that you've utilized the application to highlight. This is a way to reinforce that. So if you feel like you've had the biggest impact in the context of this experience with this NGO, then leveraging someone who oversaw or supervised you in that work from that place is absolutely valid. So really it's about thinking about what are the key things that I really want the admissions committee to understand about my skills, tools, transferable activity, and then who in my sphere can I use to help reinforce that. So that should be the guiding principle, more so than, as we've heard earlier, title or position necessarily. However, it is important to make sure that the person who is speaking to that does have some sort of supervisory element or oversaw parts of the work that you are highlighting, because, colleagues are great, but ultimately we want somebody who's looking at it through a lens of, would they hire you again? Would they give you additional responsibility? Would they see you grow within their organization? And ultimately, how do they see this degree enabling your goals? So references definitely require some thought. And, again, it's really about authenticity and somebody who can speak with real merit to the things that you want to highlight in terms of your impact and value.
Wonderful. All right, we'll take two last questions here. One, maybe Luba, if you want to take this one. Luba and Viviani, if you share this question, and then the last one, Gautam, I'll bring to you. This question is from Sachayan, whose question is basically, what are the different kind of university or student club activities that happen in Canadian universities that help us build our soft skill along with our technical knowledge? Luba, if you want to go first.
I was about to throw it to Viviane and say if you want to start.
Yeah, happy to start. No problem. So here at the group, and we have clubs for every specialization, for example. So you have association for finance, for health service management. So we have different clubs. Very popular one are the MBA games and MBA case competition. So students get to have a coach and they get to go out within the community and out of, even sometimes out of the country. So they're international case competitions as well. So you can be part of that. There's women in business, then there are more specific clubs related to career or gender or something like that. So there are endless opportunities. Usually at the beginning of your program, you have a club fair, so you get to understand what is available and how you're going to get involved. So definitely you can become a student ambassador, you can be a leader within your cohort. Definitely something that you need to know what is available and make your commitments to participate, because you develop further like and outside of the classroom. So there's all the development that happens within your courses, but extracurricular give you that extra development opportunity to connect with like-minded peers as well. So Luba, I'll pass to you to see if you have anything to add.
Thank you. I might have gone to the very selfish route and say, yeah, same thing, not Schulich. No Absolutely. All business schools are equipped with tons of opportunities for students to engage in the extracurricular outside of classroom, right? Even outside of the school, which is still linked to the school. One couple of things that I would like to highlight, what we also have at Schulich, and probably I'm sure you also have, my colleagues have this at their schools, is the participation in the student government. group, right? So student government basically body is the body, self-governed body that is responsible and advocates on behalf of all the graduate students at Schulich or at another business school. So holding the certain elected positions is also one great way to get engaged. And then, as you probably heard from multiple graduate business school sessions as well, or everywhere on the web there is that graduate business education is not just about what you learn within the classroom, it's also what you learn and who you connect with outside of classroom, right? So we'd say we rank that experience as 50-50, 50 in the classroom, 50 outside of classroom. It can be overwhelming because there is a lot to do. But one thing that I want to assure everyone is that once you step in and into the school and you start talking to different people, you start developing certain interest, right? And you naturally lean towards one or the other. You won't be able to participate in everything. It's just not possible. You won't have enough hours in a day, but you will start developing a clear vision in terms of what you want to be engaged. You will become selective, and that's how you will integrate a little bit more in the business school community of your choice.
Wonderful. And there is, across business school, and I can say from my own experience as well, there is a opportunity for anything and everything that you're interested in. If it doesn't exist, you have the opportunity to create it as well. So be open-minded, have that conversation with people at whichever business school you're interested in, and that'll probably help you through that journey as well. Gautam, my question for you, there's two folds to this question. This is a mix of questions from Laiba and Sunya. The question is, what makes the Canadian education system unique? And then what are some of the biggest red flags in an application that you see?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Those are really interesting questions. I would say that the Canadian education system, firstly, is really welcoming. It's diverse, it's multicultural, and it really supports, your opportunities to grow both personally and professionally as well. You get to find your community here. You get to meet with people from all across different backgrounds and different experiences. And you share and grow personally and professionally alongside your classmates and your colleagues as well. In terms of kind of what makes maybe some red flags is, some discrepancies across your application where some things are highlighted incorrectly, perhaps, or the overuse of an AI. Of course, we know we can't avoid that, but sometimes we do recognize and we can really identify when you're really using an AI as well. But I would say that in your application, again, just make sure that you take the time to read the questions and answer any questions correctly, include any relevant documentation. It's as simple as attaching the right attachments as part of your application as well. And of course, write the proper school name that you're applying to. So that would be just kind of some tips that I could perhaps give. But again, just to highlight Canada as an international destination, it's a very, very good place to come live, good place to study. It's a good place to grow. We've across the panelists here, we've been here for quite a long time here now, and we've kind of find a really, really good place that we can call home here. So yeah, do reach out to all of us if you have any questions, and of course, happy to answer and work with you for any next steps as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gautam, for that. We are severely over time, so I want to take a quick moment to thank our panelists for sharing their advice and being so candid in their support to candidates as well. I see there are more questions. I apologize in advance for not having the time to take them. We have all the schools who have posted their email addresses on the chat box. Please feel free to write to them. Just before we close out, one quick comment from each of you, one thing that you want students to remember as they think about studying in Canada or they think about applying to business school. Kerry, we'll start with you. One tip that you want to leave people with?
That Canada is a welcoming place and that we are very interested in attracting great talent from abroad.
Wonderful. All right, Viviani?
Yeah. So quality of education. So you have great options here. Just find your community, find the program they're looking for. And again, utilize the resources, talk to us, get the information from us and from students who graduated from the program who are currently here. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, Luba?
I would say Canada is not just a land of opportunities. I think Canada is a land of choice. So I think you've seen that today. You have a choice of the business school to go to. You have a choice of the areas to specialize in. So the choice is yours. And I wish you all the best as you trying to determine what that choice should be.
Wonderful. Gautam?
Yeah, and of course, in addition to my wonderful panelists here, I'll also take a different route. I'll say maybe the best place to begin with is your self-assessment. So just look at what really excites you, what type of program excites you, what type of academic environment do you want to be in. We are all coming in from different business schools, really great business schools as well. So you'll definitely find a good fit for you. So yeah, just kind of begin with a self-assessment and get some clarity on your motivations.
Wonderful. And my last tip to everyone attending today is look at this process as an investment in yourself. The person you will be on the other side of the program will be very different. And so use this opportunity to understand what's right for you. And hopefully this session today and the engagement and conversations with the school help you in that decision-making process. Thank you all for being here today. It's been a pleasure to host you all. Thank you for my panelists, and thank you for all the prospective students that joined us today as well. Have a great, wonderful rest of the evening, afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you in future sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.